Hey everybody, welcome back to another action figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Neca Dungeons and Dragons Zarak Ultimate action figure. And it's the same as along the lines of the Grim Sword and War Duke I've already covered. This is another character from the original LJN action figure line back in the early 80s. So an evil action figure. So far, we've got 3 bad guys, only 1 good guy, who we'll be reviewing on Friday. There's Zarak, his portrait. Just taking a look at the box here. The Neca packaging is pretty good. There's all the people involved with the creation of Zarak. Some legalese. Dungeons and Dragons Zarak. Close-up of his face, and then you have that little blurb. You can pause it here if you wish and read. It also tells you everything that it comes with, and more pictures of the figure, and also available Strongheart, who we'll be looking at Friday. And as usual with or Neca, the front cover comes open and there's a flap, and then you can see another photo of Zarak, and then the figure himself. Now, like Grimsword and War Duke, I have already opened this box because I wanted to cut away all the plastic ties and whatnot to save some time during the unboxing process. Therefore, Zarak will come out immediately. As you can see, he's got a bunch of extra hands. I'll take those out. Got a bunch of weapons and stuff there. Potion. Extra head. Get out of there. And a big old sword. Well, it's a sword to him because of his size. If Grimsword was carrying that, it'd be more like a short sword or a dagger. And here we have Zarak. Pretty damn good looking figure, just like the other 2. Very well painted, well detailed. Lots of nice wash on there to bring out those details and also make the costume look weathered. He's got a great looking face, like only a mother could love. Interestingly enough, Zarak is listed as a half-orc. And if you played Dungeons and Dragons before, then if you ever played a half-orc, you know that in creation, their size is roughly the same, if not slightly larger than a human. So for him being this short makes it look more like he's a half-goblin rather than a half-orc. But, it is what it is. Maybe he's a half-orc with dwarfism, I don't know. Or maybe his mother was a goblin. But he is a half-orc. Yeah, he's got those dagger sheaths there, a pouch on the front, and more pouches on the back. All the buttons are painted, and there's even red trim along the pouches, which is a nice touch. They didn't have to do that. They could have just left it brown with just the gold button painted, but they went above and beyond like Neca generally does. And even under the cowl, which you hardly ever see, unless you take this off, which I'll show you in a moment. But they even painted up in there as well. Gold on the buckle, as well as the buttons. And on this side, it's just the straps, but yeah. He's got that hook there for accessory carriage. More buckles or buttons painted on. Paint-wise, he's a little bare bones below the waist. He's just got the paint on the pants and the boots. but there's some good weathering done there. So the washes bring out the detail really nicely. Of course, he's got those bright red gloves. And those have even though they're plastic, they have a look of leather to them, which is really nice. So, going over articulation. I said that weird, didn't I? Articulation. He can lick his head up about that far and down about that far. Now, before I get into any more articulation, let's take a look at his articulation. You can pop the head off and remove this. So, I just want to give you a good idea of how his articulation is without the cowl in the way. So, yeah, his head popped off again. There we go. There's the snap I was waiting for. So, yeah. Without the cowl, he can look up about that high. And he can look down that far. Can do the Exorcist. And he can got some tilt there. Some good tilt. Arm twists all the way around. He's got a slightly higher than 90 degrees T-pose. And unlike most Neca figures, this one actually does have double jointed arms. You can see there's a joint there and there's a joint there. It's done a little bit differently, but it accomplishes the same thing basically. Now the sculpt of the arm, of course, still gets in the way, but he can hinge his arms quite a bit better than Grimsword and Warduke were able to. So that's pretty good. Of course, he doesn't have that hinge at the elbow as well. He's got a little bit, but not quite. And he has a side-to-side hinge on his wrist. On both sides. Articulation in the chest area you're not going to get because his clothing here, and this is an overlay, but it's loose. Yeah, this is an overlay. The clothing underneath is also an overlay, but it's really tight on there, so I don't even think he's got a diaphragm or ab crunch underneath, so you can't get anything out of there, but you can twist him at the waist so he can do the twist. The bottom of his tunic here is cut on both sides, so it gives you a little bit more range on the leg articulation. He's also got his thighs cut, not as deeply as Grimsword's, but they're not bad. So he can't quite do the Van Damme, but he can get them out pretty well. He can't kick very far forward. Yeah, he can kick a bit further back than average for action figures. And he doesn't have a thigh cut, but again, like Grimsword and Warduke, you can twist at the hip joint, and that'll turn his leg the same as a thigh cut. His legs are single jointed, unlike the arms. They don't have that double hinge system. And there is no hinge, so it's just the joint. But he does have slight movement there. It's not a lot though. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of movement at the knee area. No boot cut on him. Foot goes down that far. goes forward that far. He's got rocker. Right there, rock. Peg holes on the bottom. So yeah, if you buy Neca, like if you bought Neca before, you already know what you're getting articulation-wise with these figures. You're not getting much. They are, I wouldn't go so far as to call them movable statues, but they definitely don't move as well as, they're more along the lines of a McFarlane figure as opposed to the Hasbro ones. So, his accessories. Let's look at the heads, this extra head sculpt first. I think this is the same head sculpt. It looks exactly the same. His eyes are in the same position. I think this is just what he looks like without the cowl, that's all. This head is actually loose in there. Like, it's not glued in or anything, so you could probably pop it out if you heated the cowl up to make it softer. It is already pretty soft, but you could, it's kind of tight down here where the head could fall out. But I don't think it's really necessary because the head, I'm pretty sure the head sculpt's exactly the same. It's kind of unfortunate that they gave you an extra head but had it look exactly the same as the one that comes on the figure originally. It would have been nice to have like a slightly different look on the figure, on the face. Like he's kind of grinning evilly here. Maybe a mouth open, yelling, screaming face would have been nice. But you can stick this back on. I think I got it backwards. Nope, I had it right way. There we go. I just had to push it down. There you go. There he is, hoodless. Personally, I'm going to stick with the hooded head. I think it looks better. So before we move on, I'm going to put that back. There we go. Alright, other accessories. As I said before, he has multiple hands. Out of the package, he comes with these two open hands. Can't really do much with those because they're too wide open to hold anything. But he also has a pair of fists in case he wants to go to Pound Town with someone. Judging by his stature and the fact that he's a rogue class rather than like a fighter or a barbarian, I can't imagine that he'd be going to Pound Town with too many people. Maybe a kobold or something. He also has this slightly open kind of hand, which looks like it's designed to hold his daggers in like a throwing position, maybe. Yeah. Nah, maybe not. Can't really get in the middle either. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more for the potion. Nope, not for the potion either. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what you would use. I guess you could kind of get the daggers in there. Make it look like he's holding them to throw them. But it didn't really work well for me, so maybe it'll work well for one of you guys. And last but not least, he has this wider gripping hand, which is for his main weapon. And this one, I think, can hold the potion. And Unfortunately, Neca's hands are really tight. But yeah, he can get the potion on that one. Just got to open them up a little bit. And moving right along with the accessories, he does come with this potion. It's not real liquid in there, as you can see. If you hold it upside down, nothing happens. It's just a piece of plastic that they glued inside of the bottle. It would have been cool if they had put like red sand in there or something like that, so it could move around, like give the appearance of liquid. That would have been nice. That would have been a nice touch, I think. The cork, I don't think comes out. No. Or if it does, if you do get it out, it's not supposed to come out. Doesn't twist off either. So he also comes with this grappling hook, and that comes with a bunch of rope, which is really just string. So yeah, you get this nice long grappling hook and with string, and I think you can hook the grappling hook on the back here. That doesn't look comfortable. Maybe hook it from the... No, that's not good either. Well, there's not really any other place to put this, so it's gotta go there. It's the only thing that would fit there. The potion won't fit there. I would wrap the rope up and tie it off before display, just so it gets out of the way. And as I showed, he also comes with these two daggers, which have nicely painted blades and some gold around the hilt there, and gold on the ends and brown handles. And you can slide those into his pouch on the front of his tunic there. They both go in there like that. And lastly, he comes with this big sword. And as I said when I was taking out the package, it's big to him. In a normal sized person's hand, this would be more like a short sword, but for him, it's almost like a bastard sword. It's so big. And it's got this nice long gold blade, this interesting, intricate design near the bottom there, with a wrapped leather effect on the handle, brown, and then another golden colored ball on the end there. He can hold that in his hand. And here's Zarak. Now, he's probably my least favorite of the D&D figures so far, because he can't do as much as the others can. But I still think he's an incredible looking figure. I think the face sculpt is phenomenal. It looks really evil and creepy. And he's got a decent group of accessories, not quite as intricate or interesting as Warduk and Grimsword or Strongheart, but it's still pretty good. And if you can figure out the hands, the dagger throwing hands, and you could probably get him in some decent poses holding the throwing daggers. I'm pretty sure I've seen some of those, some like that out there. So it can be done. I just wasn't able to do it myself. Might need to heat up the hands a little bit more to get them to hold the daggers a little better. But there's Zarak, and we'll be taking a look at Strongheart on Friday, And the 5th character, Elkhorn the Dwarf, is on pre-order, but he hasn't been released yet. We'll get to him when he's released. And I'm hoping that they'll keep that Neca is going to keep going, that they're not going to stop with just these 5. There's a bunch more figures they could do from that line. And they could even release some that were never released in the original LJN run. So that would be nice as well. And I'm actually curious to see if Neca will go and do the characters from the cartoon, because Warduke was in that. I don't remember I think Strongheart was in that as well. I don't remember if Zarak and Grimsword were in that. But yeah, Hasbro's already done those with Vengar and the Dungeon Master and those guys. And I think Super 7 is also releasing an Ultimate series based on those as well now. So NECA may figure that the market is already saturated with those characters and they're not going to bother. But if they just stick to the ones the LJN did, not counting the animated series, they still have a lot they could get through. So I'm hoping they see that out. I don't know how well these figures are selling. I know that you can still buy Warduke and Grimsword. Like, they're not sold out in most places. Over here in the UK, I don't know about America. Hopefully that's not an indication the line's not doing too well, because I really want this line to succeed. It's very well detailed, very well painted, very cool looking. And it would make it an awesome medieval display diorama type setup. So like and subscribe, comment down below what you think of Zarak, and wait until next week when we take a look at Strongheart. Or not next week, but Friday. Wait till Friday we take a look at Strongheart, and I will see you then.